honor to attend this evening's People's Choice Program as a representative of the Lenape Regional High School District Administration. We want to thank the President of our Board of Education, Ms. Cookie Eslow, and Member Allison Eckel for joining us tonight. Tonight is a special event where we recognize the students for making a difference in the lives of someone else, whether that be in the classroom, on the field, in the hallways, or someplace else throughout the day. These students have made a positive impact, and we're here to celebrate that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Zanakis. All right, so we're here to celebrate our 11th annual People's Choice Awards. Just so kind of give you a little bit of background on what this night is all about. This event is hosted by our Renaissance Club, and I'd like to thank the advisor, Mrs. Kristen Smith, for all the hard work and dedication she does, not just for this event, but all the things the Renaissance Club does. The Renaissance Club's main purpose in our building is to celebrate our students and staff and to recognize them at different times throughout the year, so I want to thank them for all their hard work. So a round of applause for the Renaissance. A special thank you to Mrs. Ferris and especially Mrs. Riches for putting everything together tonight, all the hard work that went into making sure all the programs were right and all the speeches and everything tonight. So Mrs. Riches and Mrs. Ferris, thank you for all the hard work tonight. So the People's Choice Awards. These are awards. This is our night where we take some time to celebrate a group of students for a variety of reasons. Now this is an award that is very hard to quantify. Because there's a variety of reasons. It's very subjective. Some of the students have been nominated for their work ethic, others for their joy and the kindness that they bring to the classroom on a daily basis, others for their courage or their compassion towards others. And each staff member has their own unique reason for nominating, and that's what you're going to hear tonight. You're going to hear each of the staff members get up and talk about the reason why they chose that particular student. The People's Choice Award is paired up with our Crystal Apple, which is the opposite. And earlier in the year, we had an opportunity for our students to nominate a teacher for having a positive impact on their lives. And now tonight, the teachers get to return the favor. So without further ado, I will begin. I get the opportunity of making the first presentation. So I will start off. Where's my speak? There we go. All right. So at Shawnee High School, we have about 1,600 students. So I'm lucky enough to interact with many of them on a daily basis. So for me to come up with one person each year to select is always a daunting task. But usually when I sit down to figure out who's going to be my nominee, there's usually one name that pops into my mind. And this year was no different. And that person is Elana Miller. Going to stay on the X. So we're kind of the guinea pigs for the night, so we're setting a tone of how everything's going to flow for the rest of the evening. All right, so as I said, I typically select a student because of one specific interaction or event. But when I sat down, there was really not one that came to mind, although Elana's name did come to mind. I've gotten to know her over the past few years, and sometimes when you talk to Elana, you have to realize that she is still a student and only a teenager. She is absolutely one of the classiest, most dignified students in our building. You talk about being mature beyond your years. That kind of sums up Elana Miller. And she does interact with both students and staff in a way that there are many adults around that have not mastered that skill yet. So she's one of those people that every time you see in the hallway, she brings a smile on my face. And I will have to tell her that it's been a little disappointing. For years, about a year time period, Elana would just buzz by me in the hallway, and she dropped these one-line jokes on me. And they were great. And that always and to the point was, I coach my daughter's softball team. So I have 9-year-old softball players. I started writing them in my notes. And so I would hit them with it, and the girls would go cracking up. So I'm going to end with one of my favorite ones. And so why did Cinderella get cut from the softball team? All right, nice. All right. She kept running from the ball. All right. So Elana Miller, please accept my People's Choice Award. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Amy Johnston. There you go. Just a little bit about Mrs. Johnson.
Yeah,
She's been freaking out for about 4 weeks about this, so I let her go first.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go.
Thanks. Appreciate that. It really calms the nerves. My People's Choice nomination tonight goes to Jeremy Fisher. I believe that a first impression is a lasting impression. My first impression of Jeremy was that he's an outstanding and exceptional individual. Over the course of his senior year, I found many qualities in him that truly supported my belief. Jeremy treats himself and others with kindness and respect. He demonstrates the strength of his character by standing up for what he believes in. His actions motivate others to become better themselves, and he is a leader that maintains strong principles and core values, whether or not others are watching. His actions are that of a gentleman. He treats others the way he would want to be treated, and he does all of this without wanting any recognition or praise. I have learned through speaking with classmates, teachers, coaches, and staff members that he has made a positive first impression on so many throughout his 4 years here at Shawnee. I want to take the time to recognize the importance of his actions, efforts, and impacts. Jeremy, you have demonstrated year after year that you will uphold your values, lead by example, and continue to be an outstanding individual. Thank you for making a difference and leaving a lasting impression here at Shawnee. Will you please accept my nomination? I would like to present Mrs. Jen Pulliam now.
Good evening. No one has a brighter smile or a more positive disposition than my People's Choice nominee, Cassie. Cassie is a caring, spunky individual who shares my love of Beatles and Disney, although I reluctantly admit she is more knowledgeable on both topics than me. It's true, we did a Sporkle once, and she knew every single song that was Disney. She is one of the most responsible, thorough, and diligent students I have ever had. She hands in assignments early if she knows she's going to be missing the due date or asking for missed work well in advance. She is ultra organized, always participates in class, and is an exceptional role model for others. All of these attributes make her a perfect fit for her aspiring career as a math teacher. The only way I could support her decision to enter the teaching profession more is if she agrees to switch to her major to physics instruction. It is my pleasure to honor Cassie with my 2018 People's Choice Award. It is now my pleasure to welcome Ashley Gaynor to the stand.
It's my honor to present Chloe Deming as my People's Choice Award nomination. Anyone in Chloe's presence knows and understands she is a trustworthy, reliable, and kind student who supports others. Her true intent of always wanting to help people is something that I admire. Often at times, students do the right thing and don't expect anything in return, often go unrecognized. Chloe is my unsung hero. Thank you for always putting a smile on my face and being committed to my class. Chloe Deming, please accept my People's Choice nomination. Now I'd like to welcome Mr. Bozarth.
My People's Choice nominee is Kaali-Ayaro. Over the past 4 years, I have gotten to know Kyle in accounting. I currently have Kyle in Accounting 4, and he has a positive attitude, is highly motivated, and hardworking. He is an individual who cares about others. This was demonstrated during this year's senior trip. There was a classmate who did not have a group to hang out with. Kyle found out about this situation and volunteered to include him with his group of friends. When his group had dinner reservations and Disney would not allow them to add another person, Kyle took it upon himself to contact his chaperone to discuss the situation. With his chaperone's assistance, Kyle was able to find another group for this student to hang out with for the evening. Most individuals would not have taken the time to include someone in their group, let alone make sure that they had another group to hang out with when their group couldn't. By including this student in their group, Kyle and his friends made this senior trip a memory this student will never forget. Young and old can learn from his actions, and it is with pleasure that I nominate Kyle for this People's Choice Award. And I would like to introduce Mr. Ryan Franks.
I've had this distinct pleasure of having Pat Thompson in class the past 2 years in both financial literacy and AP economics. During that time, Pat has been an awesome student, but the reason that I've selected him as my People's Choice Award nominee goes beyond that and is really due to the bond we created while we both trusted the process. It has been rare over the last 2 years to come into economics and not hear Pat and I rehashing some of last night's Sixers game, we did it today, upcoming draft prospects, or our mutual affection for Brett Brown. While that has been a popular trend this year for many people due to the Sixers' success, we really bonded last year when they were terrible. And while I've greatly enjoyed all of the friendly banter and discussion over Philadelphia sports before, after, and sometimes during class, one thing that Pat did over the last 2 years really stood out for me and was a big reason why I had him in mind for this award. When Mrs. Franks and I welcomed our first child into the world last November, Pat went out of his way and went to the mall and got baby Jack a Sixers onesie. I don't think that many teenage boys would be comfortable enough in their own skin as Pat is to be able to do something so thoughtful like that for one of their teachers. But although I said thank you at the time, I wanted him to know just how much something like that meant and still means now. That a relatively small gesture like that can still, almost 2 years later, bring a smile to my face and make a meaningful difference in the world. I would like to quote the Sam Hinkie Manifesto. And actually, I'm going to quote Sam Hinkie quoting Abraham Lincoln when he said, "Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe." Pat, I'm confident that your growth as a person and a student here at Shawnee has sharpened the axe, and I'm excited for you to go beyond our walls and chop down the tree. Best of luck in college and beyond, and remember when times get difficult, as they no doubt will, that you always have to trust the process. It is my honor to present Pat Thompson. I'd now like to introduce Miss Andrea Rich.
Bonsoir, Adam Carsnack. Come on down. So I've had the pleasure of having Adam as a student for the past 2 years in my French class. He's an absolute joy to have in class and a pleasure to encounter throughout the day. It doesn't matter the situation, Adam's ready to greet anyone and everyone with a smile and kind words. He has such a positive demeanor and is outwardly friendly to everyone in his class or in the hallway or wherever I have encountered him throughout Shawnee. He faces difficulty with his chin up, and though he may sometimes be timid about his own abilities, he never lets that deter him from trying his best. His positive personality is contagious and makes everyone's day a little brighter. It is these qualities that make Adam an exceptional student in person, and I happily nominate Adam for the People's Choice Awards. And I'd like to bring Mrs. Leslie Smatter up to the stage.
Could I have Ella Owen join me up here? Ella Owen is kind, caring, and a considerate young woman. Every day that Ella walks into my classroom, she brings positivity and a smile. As a student in one of my classes in the morning wheel, it is always refreshing to see Ella come in cheerful and full of determination to have the best day possible. Her positive attitude is contagious, and she brings joy to the entire classroom. Ella is always willing to help others without prompting and works her hardest every day. I know that the next 3 years of Ella's high school career will be filled to overflowing with goodness and possibility. I hope that I will have the opportunity to watch Ella's journey throughout her time at Shawnee and that she doesn't forget the little people she meets along the way to success. It is my pleasure to present Ella Owen as my People's Choice nomination. I would now like to present Mrs. Sarah Howarth.
To myself and her classmates, Sydney Wheeler has certainly been an unsung hero and is truly deserving of this People's Choice Award. According to Maya Angelou, a hero is any person really intent on making this a better place for all people around them. Sydney truly embodies these ideas. I have had the pleasure of teaching Sydney for 2 years in a row, and she stands out as one of the most delightful, determined, and bright students I've ever met. It's hard to put into words just what a remarkable young lady she is. But after every interaction with her, I would always think, wow, what a great kid. She demonstrated a passion for learning and was continually engaged in class, asking insightful questions. She's very friendly, has a great sense of humor, and seems to transcend the typical high school cliques. She's kind to all, and it's evident that her classmates all feel comfortable in her presence. Often in her group, she was the one to step up and ask questions she knew her peers were wondering about, but too shy to ask. Her attention to detail certainly enhanced our yearbook this year as she acted as our co-editor. Moreover, Sydney is a true model of integrity. She always does the right thing, and everyone feels comfortable going to her for help or advice. She's extremely mature, level-headed, and compassionate. Sometimes it's hard to remember that she's just 18. It's hard to put into words exactly what it's meant to me to be able to teach and meet this exceptional young lady, and for all these reasons and so much more, I'm proud to present her with this award. And next, I'd like to introduce Miss Cindy Gallimore.
Good evening. This is the first time I've had the opportunity to teach some of the same students for 2 years in a row, and it's been my great good fortune to have Jack Artiss as a student in Spanish for the last 2 years. You blushing now? Okay, Jack's only a sophomore, but his affable disposition and good-natured personality belie his youth. He is well-liked and respected by his peers and me for both his intelligence, hard work, his kindness, and his good humor. Jack is a member of the Shawnee swim team as well as a club team and is infinitely capable of managing an honors lead and course load with swimming. And never once in the 2 years I've taught him have I ever heard him stress or complain about his workload. Additionally, and this is the most important thing, every single time class meets, he says thank you before he leaves the room. 2 little words that speak to his humility and his maturity. 2 words that mean so much to me, not only as a teacher, but as a human being. So Jack, you and your parents should be very proud of the person you are and of the adult I am sure you will become. I'm giving you this People's Choice Award to thank you for being an embodiment of a really good guy. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Joe Ritter.
It is my honor to present Kaali Escobar as my People's Choice nomination. Although it may be cliche to say, Kaali truly is a pleasure to have in class. Mother Teresa once said, "We shall never know all the good a simple smile can do." This quote fits Kaali perfectly. Every day she comes into my room with a huge smile on her face and offers a warm hello, not just to me, but to her classmates as well, and people gravitate towards her because of this. On days our class doesn't meet, I look forward to seeing her in the halls, as her smile is the kind that simply makes your day better. In the classroom, Kaali is a model student. She's a hard worker who is always eager to learn new information. Often I observe her helping others who are struggling to follow along or grasp a new concept. Because of her contagious smile and leadership skills in the classroom, I proudly nominate Kaali Escobar for the People's Choice Award. I'd now like to welcome Ms. Kristen Schimpf.
My People's Choice nomination goes to Chi Terwall. Chi transferred into my chemistry class mid-year, so I've only known him for a few months, but he quickly became one of the most optimistic students I have ever met. Chi enters class each day with a beaming smile. He says please and thank you, and is just so kind and polite to all around him. Chi sees the positive in all circumstances and voices his thoughts for the class to hear. He is always appreciative and accepts the challenge. For example, when going over homework, I'll hear, "Thank you, Mrs. Schimpf. Thank you for doing one of the homework problems with us. That is so nice of you." It's these types of short sentiments that are so powerful and carry enormous weight throughout our class. I've actually noticed a change for the better in the chemistry class that Chi is a part of over the last month. Fellow classmates have felt Chi's enthusiasm and are now following in Chi's positive footsteps. But the one person who I know who has benefited the most is me for having you in my class. Chi's positivity changes my outlook on the day and gives me a new perspective. Positivity begets positivity, and Chi continually demonstrates this. Thank you for your smile and your fabulous approach on life. It's wonderful to be able to have the chance to know you. and I'd now like to introduce Mrs. Fanagikis.
Hello. My People's Choice nomination this year is Miss Claire Flattery. Claire is a student who has left an impression on my life, and I am sure the lives of others at Shawnee High School. She is caring, thoughtful, and has an elegance about herself that is far beyond her years. She treats others with respect and carries herself with confidence. She is grounded and has a wonderful rapport with both the students and the teachers. She is one of the most genuine people I've had the opportunity of teaching over the last 35 years. With every role Claire assumes, her commitment and her energy is admirable for all the work that she takes on and handles with ease. Claire has been with Student Council for the past 4 years. This year she holds the position as president. She has been very helpful in making the transition with 2 new advisors in our council. Claire's desire to keep improving Shawnee spirit and making the activities we host for everyone continues even as her time here comes to an end. Claire, thank you very much for all you've done for Shawnee Student Council and Shawnee High School. And it's my pleasure to award you with this People's Choice Award. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Mark Rome.
Tonight it's my pleasure to nominate Meaghan Conville. For the past 4 years, I've had the pleasure of working with Meaghan in the fall drama and also in spring stage. Meaghan has come to rehearsals well prepared, learning lines, hitting cues, and developing unique characters. But the main reason I'm nominating you tonight is because of how you treat others. Meaghan is always encouraging and promoting a positive attitude among the cast. Specifically over the years, she's looked out and actively engaged students with multiple disabilities that have been involved with the play. Meaghan is always willing to partner up, take extra time to practice, befriend, and support students who may have a more difficult time learning or socializing. Watching this has really touched my heart over the years. So, Meaghan Conville, for being such a kind, caring, and nurturing person, please accept this nomination. It's now my pleasure to introduce Erin O'Neill.
Kylie Taylor is a remarkable young woman. It is difficult to sum up all of her wonderful qualities in such a short statement, but I will try my best. She is intelligent, well-rounded, and multitasks so well that she is a leader to many other students at Shawnee through the choral, musical, and mentorship programs. I am positive that her future will bring her great success in her chosen field of music education. What makes Kylie extraordinary, though, is her ability to light up a room with her smile. She makes others feel comforted in her presence just because of who she is, a kind and generous person who truly wants the best for everyone. She tends to downplay her wonderful qualities because she is not one to boast or brag, but Kylie's strong and gentle character speaks for itself. I hope that she knows her worth and what she can give to this world. I am more than honored to present Kylie Taylor as my People's Choice nomination. I would now like to introduce Mrs. Michelle Sheffer.
Therese, you knew it was me. Therese Kat Mooney is a student who has turned her academic career around in the last 3 years. When she first started at Shawnee, I was worried about her being able to graduate at all, and now she's graduating in 3 years. To achieve this, she has taken a full schedule each year and also working outside of school full-time. This year, I worked with Therese on her college applications and financial aid. I was thrilled to hear that she was accepted to numerous schools and was honored to be the one to share the news that she was accepted to her #1 college. As a counselor, you hope to have an impact on your students. I hope I've done that for her because she definitely had an impact on me. I spent a lot of time with Therese in the last 3 years, and I'm going to miss her next year. I wish her the best, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for her. It is my honor to present Therese Kat Mooney as my People's Choice nomination. Next up is Mrs. Rebecca Amy.
Good evening. It is my pleasure to present my People's Choice to Nia Scarborough. I've had the privilege of teaching Nia in my Child Development and Foods 1 class. Nia arrived at Shawnee as a bashful freshman, and she leaves us this year as a blossoming and upbeat young lady. Nia's been through tough times, but she holds herself up very well. She knows what is really important. Oh, God, you shouldn't have said that. She knows what is really important and what isn't. She focuses on the good stuff and she lets go of the bad. She handles herself in a mature and honorable way. I will miss our visits and the sparkle she brings to my day. I asked her who was the most inspiring person in her life, and she instantly responded that it was her grandmother, that she is an incredible woman and she has the utmost respect for her. I also asked her what the hardest thing was about transferring into the Medford community, and she spoke of the cultural differences facing many minority students. However, she felt right at home at Shawnee's Multicultural Club, where she found many friends. She is the backbone of the club and will be dearly missed. I wish you all the best as you move forward to Robert Morris University in Pittsburgh. Nia, please accept my People's Choice nomination. Next is Miss Debbie Bunn.
My People's Choice Award winner is Julia Siragusa. When I first met Julia's parents at back-to-school night, they told me that she had expressed an interest in taking Accounting 1 when signing up for her freshman courses. As many parents might, they asked her why she wanted to take Accounting 1. And Julia just wanted to do it because it sounded interesting to her and she would not be deterred. Not only did she sign up, but she has excelled in the course. Julia has what is known as a growth mindset. She will work and study until the material clicks, coming in for extra help if necessary. Understanding the material does not always come easy in accounting, but that does not stop Julia. She does what she needs to do and goes above and beyond and masters the concepts. She has a fantastic work ethic, and she will be a great success in life, maybe even in a career as an accountant, because she has learned that with hard work comes success. I'm so proud of her. She has been a role model to others, and her smile and effort in class always makes my day a great one. Julia, please accept my People's Choice nomination. And now I'd like to introduce Ms. Shannon Gallagher.
It is my honor and pleasure to nominate Garret Clark for my People's Choice Award. When I first met Garret, I realized not only what a great help he was in the classroom, but what a wonderful person he is as well. Garret is incredibly kind to his classmates and teachers, except when he's reminding me of how terrible I am at basketball. Garret is so thoughtful. He always asks me how my classes are going and what I'm learning about. He and I joke around quite a lot and really makes my day so much better because I can always count on him for a good laugh. There is no one who deserves the People's Choice Award more than he does. And yes, Clark, I did make that half-court shot. Garret, please accept my People's Choice nomination. I would now like to introduce Miss Ashley Gerber.
My nominee knows I'm not really good at this. It's my honor to present Cassie Bodart as my People's Choice Award nominee. Woo. Yeah, here, you can just read it. No, I'm kidding. All right. So I've known Cassie for about 4 years, and I've taught her in fashion and clothing for the past year and a half. Cassie is a student that will always stand out in my mind. Her creativity and perseverance is outstanding. Her attention to detail is insane, too. Came in, she redid her pockets on her shorts about 4 times so those lines were perfectly straight. When I first met Cassie, it was during an FCCLA conference where I volunteered as a chaperone, and the advisor was sick, so I was in charge. So, thank goodness for Cassie. From that moment, I knew Cassie was something special. Her pride in her work and her dedication to FCCLA is immeasurable. Cassie has been an award-winning member of FCCLA. Even this year, when she was unable to compete due to senior trip, she offered up advice for the students that would be attending. She is a student who has a desire to live up to her own expectations and pushes others to be the best they can be. Cassie has an outstanding character and personality. I know she will be a great addition to Montclair, but I will miss seeing her smiling face next year. I'd like to next call up Mrs. Mataloni.
Okay, it is my honor to stand up here tonight and nominate Madison Bukino as my People's Choice recipient. As most of us can attest to, the teenage years can be a very exciting time in our lives, yet one of the most challenging. It is often filled with uncertainty, awkwardness, drama, as well as fun, laughter, and hope for the future. In this society, being a teenager is probably one of the most complicated times thus far. Even more than ever, it is a time where we are learning how to be true to ourselves, accepting of others, and hopefully finding our way over the many mountains of tough decisions. Excuse me. Peer pressure situations, the burden of social media, and teen angst. As adults, there are so many things we can look back on now and wish we could have appreciated more. Lessons we wish we could have grasped at the time, hard times we would have rather just let roll off our backs, and moments we could live over and over again. Maddie is a teenager who, through example, could teach many adults some very valuable lessons. She is a remarkable young lady who I deeply admire for her bravery, perseverance, and kindness. She's someone who has never given up, who has always stayed true to herself, even when life got difficult. Maddie is the kind of person we all wish we could be, strong,
courageous, and resilient. I commend her on her bravery and her ability to follow her heart. I want her to know she is cared about, supported, and loved for all of her wonderful attributes. Maddie Bukino, please accept this People's Choice Award. Now I'd like to introduce Mrs. Christine Lorenz.
Good evening. Oops. I'm pleased to announce my People's Choice selection for this year, Sean Etter. The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. That Nietzsche quote epitomizes my People's Choice selection for this year, Sean Etter. Sean, first and foremost, is his own person, and someone who can truly say has the privilege of owning himself. I have the utmost respect for someone who can walk to the beat of their own drum and not let societal standards dictate how they choose to live their life. It is admirable that Sean has not allowed himself to become overwhelmed by the tribe and already has such a strong sense of self as a young adult. Over the past 4 years, Sean has also set himself apart by emerging as an academic leader here at Shawnee. However, Sean is not just simply an A student with an impressive GPA and SAT scores. He is exceptional. His consistent participation and thoughtful comments in both AP US History and Gender, Culture, and Society, along with his enthusiasm for learning and passion for social issues, is commendable. He consistently strives to acquire knowledge to broaden his already impressive base in both American history and current events. It is refreshing to witness a student with such passion for continued academic and personal growth, especially when the acquisition of knowledge is towards one's own enrichment and not simply to earn a good grade. Most impressively, Sean scored a rare 5 being the highest score possible on the AP US History exam last spring, and we all know this is no easy feat. Sean Etter is most deserving of my People's Choice Award for this year. I have no doubt he will take his infectious, positive attitude and eagerness to learn with him on his journey next year to Boston University. I wish him well and know he will be successful in whatever path he chooses to take. I'm now pleased to introduce Mr. Nick Tama.
I'll never forget the time I told Brett Funk that he wasn't going to play. Brett had missed soccer practice for a fairly important national cross team obligation. Brett was a freshman at this time, and conveniently this was a rule that Coach Franks lightened up on by the time Brett was on varsity. For the past 4 years, Brett has been a standout student athlete and model teammate at Shawnee. In lacrosse and soccer, Brett has anchored some of the most accomplished defenses in the state. Yet it's his passion and perseverance as his teammate that I'll always remember. Throughout his high school career, Brett has been tasked with taking out an opponent's best player. In each game, he did just that. This year, when injuries tried to take him out, Brett battled with endless grit. Brett Funk has set a new standard for what it means to be a multi-sport student athlete at Shawnee, and I'm proud to select him as my People's Choice. I'd now like to introduce Mrs. Meaghan Franks.
She is worthy, she is strong, she is Jen Bell. She is a bright light even on the dark days. She is brave for talking openly. She is mature for educating others. She is Jen Bell. Sometimes it feels like we hold the weight of the world on our shoulders, especially in a society where there is so much pressure to be perfect. Often this weight can become too much to carry without the help of others. Seeking help does not show weakness, but rather strength in one's own character and self-awareness. It's honorable to accept the guidance and help of others along life's journey and build friendships along the way. I feel so lucky to have had Jen as a student this year, as she became an unexpected friend that changed the way I look at the world. Jen helped me realize how often we judge people for going through things that we don't understand. High school is hard enough without having to feel shame for something that is out of your control. We all need to advocate for those struggling and urge that asking for help does not make someone weak, that they are not alone. Jen, I hope more people get to know you for the mature and compassionate person you are. You have already enhanced my life more than you know. And I'll end with a quote from one of your favorites, Demi Lovato. She's worthy of life and her life has meaning. You can overcome and get through anything. And next up, I'd like to introduce your Employee of the Month, Mr. Michael Spera.
My People's Choice Award recipient goes to Ashley Wetzel. It was in her sophomore year as a student in my AP Statistics class where I learned how impressive Ashley is. Speaking honestly, I was first very alarmed when Ashley shared her regular late-hour study habits with me, but I soon realized her commitment to her academics, her desire to play college field hockey in the Ivy League, and her attitude of becoming one of Shawnee's most well-rounded student athletes. However, her proudest high school achievement may be a club she founded to raise awareness of a brain malformation disorder called Chiari. I am fortunate enough to advise the Fight Against Chiari Club, but my contribution does not compare to Ashley's. Through her determination and passion, our club now has over 75 members, and our plan is to continue raising awareness after Ashley graduates in June. It has been my pleasure to have taught and worked with such an amazing young woman. I'm excited for her to begin her next chapter at the University of Pennsylvania, and I wish her the best. It's my honor to recognize Ashley Wetzel as my People's Choice Award winner. I would now like to introduce Chris Music.
Good evening, everyone. I really appreciate being around positive and upbeat people, and it is for this reason that I would like to present Brian Beidel with a People's Choice Award. Brian is a bright student who works diligently, puts forth time and energy into honors pre-calculus, color codes his notes, which I really love, and seeks help whenever needed. All of these commendable traits, however, did not lead me to the recommendation for Brian being recognized as this award. Whenever I see Brian, whether it's in the class, in the hallway, in the cafeteria, or outside of school, he always has a smile on his face. One day, while walking down the hallway, consumed with the thoughts of the workday, I heard, "Hi, Mrs. Music." When I turned to see who had graced me with this enthusiastic greeting, there was Brian. It is infectious to be around such a positive person who is cheerful and optimistic. I certainly believe I'm a better person for having him in my class and for the pleasure of knowing Brian. It is my hope that he'll stop by next year to say hi and make my day. It is with pleasure I present Brian as my People's Choice nomination. I would like to introduce next Mr. Eric O'Neill.
It is my absolute pleasure to nominate Jennifer Ewing as my People's Choice Award for 2018. Jenny is one of my top students in my AP Psychology class. Not only is she a stellar student, but she additionally has an unbridled enthusiasm for the subject and now plans on majoring in psychology at UNC next year. Jenny is a frequent participator in class, which contributes to an open and lively classroom environment. She asks questions to ensure she truly understands the material, which allows her classmates to feel more comfortable doing the same. Jenny is also a frequent volunteer for psychology experiments in class to bring the material to life more. These are typically fun and interesting experiments that illustrate important concepts, but they can sometimes be a tad embarrassing, and Jenny never has any fear about them, even though she has no idea what she'll be asked to do. Earlier this year, I was honored to receive a Crystal Apple Award from Jenny, which was the first in my career. It was a privilege to receive one from someone who is such an ideal student. I wish Jenny all the best in her future endeavors, and I'm honored to present her with this award. I would now like to introduce Mr. Jeff Weigel.
Tori Yost has made a huge impact on me and Shawnee High School during her freshman year. Initially, because of her quiet personality, I hadn't noticed the extreme diligence with which she gave herself to 3 varsity sport level teams and her classroom academics. As the year unfolded, however, that level of diligence has been a major highlight for me this year. Tori displays what the concept of the ideal student is each day in class. She's attentive, ready to learn, prepared, and as I like to encourage all my students, she's regularly all in. She definitely is that girl. Whatever the class activity calls for, whether it's students breaking into small groups or to begin working on independent assignments, her get-to-the-task immediately attitude kicks in and she influences all of those around her. Often it's obvious to notice when excellence comes easy to a student. But to Tori's credit, the level of excellence I've seen her achieve this year is primarily attributed to her amazing work ethic. In spite of excessive time demands of the varsity sports I know about, plus other things I'm sure, she always makes time available for excellent preparation of her schoolwork. It seems to me that without exception, the effort she puts forth and seriousness in which she approaches everything, be it a small homework assignment or a major essay question, Tori often sets the new standard. So it is with great pleasure I would like to nominate Ms. Tori Yost as my People's Choice Award for the 2017-18 school year. I'd like to invite Mr. Craig Bookwalter to the microphone.
This evening I have the pleasure to present 2 People's Choice Awards. The first I will be reading for Mr. Delangelo, who unfortunately was not able to be with us here this evening. But Mr. Delangelo's People's Choice recipient is Brett Hillegass. If you could please come up, Brett. Mr. Delangelo is proud to give this award to Brett to celebrate what a great student and person he is. As a student, Brett is very teachable and coachable. He listens very well and asks great clarifying questions. Then there is Brett, the young man. He is respectful, kind, and hardworking. The way that he conducts himself as a person sets an example for his peers. It is Mr. Delangelo's pleasure and my pleasure to nominate Brett Hillegass for the People's Choice Award. And if my People's Choice Award recipient, there should be a student over there yet, Janae Covington, if you would please come up, Janae. It has truly been my pleasure getting to know Janae Covington over the course of the last 4 years. There are times that we as educators, we wonder about the impact that we have on children. As an administrator, although I've never had her in class, I've learned that Janae is a very personable and charismatic young lady. She speaks from the heart, and whether she asks for it or not, people listen. Her smile is contagious to those around her. On many occasions, I have expressed to her that she has a bright future ahead of her, but I wanted to take this one last opportunity to wish her continued success and to leave you with these words. Education isn't just about school, homework, classes, and grades. It is about knowledge and experience that with time don't fade. The truth in studying lies in being passionate and having a zealous urge to be in charge of one's own fate. My heartfelt congratulations to you, Janae. I do wish you the best, and please accept my People's Choice nomination. And the next person that we'll be reading is Miss Diane Kelly. The student that Miss Kelly selected was unable to be here tonight, so her student will receive his award tomorrow. So we'll allow Miss Kelly to please read her essay this evening, and then we'll call Miss Ferris up on the stage to conclude our ceremony. Thank you.
The student I chose as my People's Choice Award winner is Jacob Strong. Jake has gone out of his way to help others. Last year, he used his talents as a magician to hold a magic show at Nita School to benefit a family that had lost their home in a fire. Jake wanted to do another benefit this year to help someone, but wasn't sure who he could help. He spoke with his friend, who happens to be an officer in Shawnee's Kids for Wish Kids Club, and it was suggested that Jake could raise funds for Make-A-Wish New Jersey with the help of the club members. Nita School Hall was booked, tickets printed and sold, and the planning was in full force with the help of Jake's family. Jake was promoting his show throughout Medford and Medford Lakes, and he started bringing in money before the show even started. The evening of the show saw many people coming out to support the cause and see Jake's fantastic magic. Comments from people at the end of the evening were all praising Jake's skills. This fundraiser raised over $2,800 to help grant a wish through Make-A-Wish New Jersey. I can't thank Jake and his family enough for all the hard work they put into this event. And in addition to this one event, Jake has also been a volunteer with the Social Recreation Program, where he comes after school on Monday afternoon and spends time with students who have special needs. He has shared some card tricks, but most importantly, his time with students in our multiply disabled program. I am proud to know Jake and look forward to what will come in his senior year here at Shawnee. So I hope that Jake accepts my People's Choice nomination. And Ms. Lauren Ferris. And Mrs. Lorna Ferris will speak to you now.
Thank you, Diane. Congratulations to all of our People's Choice Awards recipients. Let's give a big round of applause for The medals you receive tonight may be worn upon graduation. At this time, I'd like to ask all recipients and faculty to come to the front of the stage for a group photo, and this officially concludes our evening. Please join us for refreshments in the atrium, which is right out here, courtesy of Renaissance. Thank you and have a good evening.